Good morning, everybody. It is, what deck, you guys? What deck? Let's do this. How you doing? I'm saying good morning, y'all. It's like past lunchtime. Woo. Sabbatical in nature this morning. Did some cord cutting work of my own. Some things that needed to be completed after the solar eclipse, after the movement of Saturn going direct, after a couple things, energies and things that needed to complete their course and be returned to the earth. So sabbaticaling. Sabbaticaling. Is that a term? That's not a term. So back at the desk this morning, y'all, it is not morning. Hello. Back at the desk today. Spirit, ancestors, guides, you're just pressing to check in, do a check-in after this partial solar eclipse, this new moon movement in Scorpio. I'm sitting at the desk, planning for a trip this weekend. Excuse me. Just trying to wrap up some things, not at the altar space over on the other side. Tying up loose ends, wrapping up things, trying to get packages, candles shipped out. Drinking my Americano. And the whole time that I was in nature this morning doing the things that needed to be done, it was just this intense emotional feeling. And it made me think of you guys, and it made me think of the pocket of powerful energy that was in this solar eclipse. And I just wanted to, and in this new moon, I just wanted to check in with you guys, chat about some astrology. Let's let our ancestors, our spirits, our guides, our higher self guide us with some tarot, whatever messages want to come through. Gonna be out of pocket all weekend. I just thought I would check in with you. Because there is a big intensity, I kind of did this other video where we went through together the astrology of October, and it's kind of like catching up to the point here and kind of talking about what all's going on, because today's the 27th. Excuse me. Holy hell, like that was what, the 20th? I feel like 7 days went by like that. We're on this channel to create, and there's tools that I was very specifically being guided to birth, and then just, all the things in the new moon. Woo! 7 days? I'm just looking down like, what the what? Where was the week? Where'd 7 days go? I was just thinking about how, not only did we have the partial solar eclipse, of course, meaning the sun is in Scorpio, hence Scorpio season. We had Venus entering Scorpio as well. We had this intense pocket of Scorpio energy, and at the same time that Saturn was going direct. Saturn's been in retrograde in Aquarius, and it's a massive, I don't want you to miss that this is a massive energetic shift. I was just looking, I'm just like, oh, this looks messy, but y'all, we got the basics. We got what we need right here. So I'm talking, let's back it up to the 23rd, 4 days ago. Right. Saturn was, we were just entering the official Scorpio season at the same point that, well, I'll tell you what, actually, technically Saturn went direct Let's give ourselves a little smudge. Saturn went direct technically a couple hours before the Sun and Venus technically entered Scorpio. So here's the shift that I'm talking about. Sun going into Scorpio, Venus going into her fall, as we would say. She's farthest away from where she feels comfortable in her home in Taurus. She's very, very far. Why I'm thinking Dorothy is not in Kansas, right? And then, so we've got Sun moving into Scorpio, Venus moving into Scorpio, and Saturn stationing direct. So here's what we're looking at. And this is opening a huge portal that's going to move us. This was prepping us to move into the eclipse season. Eclipses come in bookends. We've got the bookend of the new moon, which is the partial solar eclipse, and then we're going to have the closing bookend around, I think, November 7th or November 8th. I don't have that in front of me. That's going to be a lunar eclipse. So it's a massive, we have to go deeper. We have to understand deeper ourselves first and foremost. You know, a good teacher, a good healer, a good way shower, if you like the word light worker, you know, insert what is most comfortable to you. But a good way shower, a good healer, a teacher will always point you back to yourself, because that's really the only thing you can control. So here we are, I said in another video, an astrologer that I love and consider a mentor and look up to, they had said something like, I consciously choose the descent. And this is a place we want to find ourselves right now. There's also some Chiron movements going on. This was more backed up to the last full moon, but we'll still probably feel that rippling out of just processing fear and doubt, healing areas that we were going around our own strength and what we want to emerge, and how we abandon ourselves. So it's a return to the self, a conscious choice to descend into the self. And, you know, Scorpio is the death card in the tarot deck. But in the death, there is always rebirth. And I love to say this. I say this to people I work with. I say this to people in readings and astrology. The universe and the way that energy works really, really loves an empty space, because the universe is such a vacuum. You know, immediately, an empty space, you know, we want to fill it with a rebirth of something new there. So we're going to find, you know, Sun being in Scorpio, moving up to the partial solar eclipse. It's a lot about come on back into yourself and look at what needs to die. And then, or maybe it's died 4 times. Maybe it's died 40 times, but it has to die so that we can rebirth. Makes me think of that meme, and I've said this before as well. The meme is something to the effect of, you know, it's like when you first get on the path, or you're doing your spiritual work and you're having an awakening, you're going through dark nights of the soul, and you're like, everything is, and you have kind of like your Fool card moment, and then you start progressing through the steps of it, and you're like, ooh, okay, the High Priestess isn't bad. Ooh, magic, you know, you're kind of going over it, and then you hit some cards like the Devil and Death and all these different things. You're like, wait. And you know, it's like the meme where it's like a cat riding on a rainbow horse, and it's like switching to a person rocking in the corner talking about, I'm not crazy. And that's the feeling. Right? It's easy. I'm hearing it's easy to look at things that we love to see, right? It sucks terribly to have things illuminated that we do not want to see. And Sun and Venus in Scorpio, Saturn coming direct. This energy, especially when we think about Sun and Venus being in the intensity of Scorpio, these are going to be things you don't want to see. And we all have that. I love to use the reference of the steps and progression when you're working on the way, the path. You know, you're working on evolution, you're working on doing shadow work and the highest evolution of yourself, because that is the real alchemy. Gemstones, oils, candles. You know, I would love to make you a beautiful candle to use as a tool, but I'm going to tell you what, if you are not doing the alchemy of doing your own shadow work and your own personal evolution, facing your own wounds, looking at your own trauma, but spinning that wheel to make gold, all right? Alchemy, right? Or they're doing all kinds of crazy shit to try to figure out how to make gold. This is what we're doing in spirit form. Now, I want to talk about Venus too, because again, the magnifying glass, the spotlight, the magnifier is, we've got to mature. We've got to mature in Saturn, stationing direct in Aquarius you could also Google, as a side note, Saturn square Uranus, because it's been going on cyclically since some point last year, and that's a huge movement as well, because even if Saturn goes direct, it is still doing that almost exact square to Uranus and Taurus. So we gotta grow up a little bit in the way that we have a relationship with ourselves. And it's important to understand, because people think of Venus and they think of the goddess of love and beauty and pleasure, but it's so much deeper than who you have sexual relationships with. It's so much deeper than aesthetic that you dress in every day, and what makes you feel beautiful, how others perceive you. It's deeper than that. It's about, when people look at themselves in the mirror, it's the relationship that you ultimately have with self that is going to make true beauty, true joy, and what we draw in to ourselves to experience that with, that much more whole, that much more healthy. So on a maturity, on a serious point, what are the fears? What is it's a massive shift in how you have a relationship with yourself. And that's important to understand Venus and Scorpio, because a lot of these things and affect how we relate to ourselves. You think of like these codependent toxic relationships that people get into, and why do you keep finding yourself in the same relationship patterns with friends, with family members, with romantic situations, even with jobs that you end up finding yourself in. What is at the core of the root of your self-worth? And if there are voids there, the partial solar eclipse, the sun in the season of Scorpio, these voids will be illuminated, because that is where the wound is. That is where the hurt, traumatized inner child hides. And those are the places we have to deeply connect to, because if we don't heal those patterns, if we don't consciously descend back into self, if we don't deepen the alignment from the root all the way up to the crown and back down and find that clarity and look through our emotional bodies, our auric bodies, our psychic bodies, to remove not only corded and attached energies. We're not just talking about people. We're talking about attachments to very traumatic experiences. We're talking about attachments to family members. We're talking about attachments to styles of relationships we find ourselves in. People say every day, like to heal the things you keep bringing into your life that are karmic patterns, that are lessons. And you keep saying, well, I keep coming back here, because you have to go deeper into understanding yourself. And then as you're able to do that, you'll no longer be mirroring everyone else, whether it's in a romantic way, in a way that you draw on friendships, in a way that you connect with people. Venus is going to have you hitting on, why do you really pick that partner? Where's the pleasure in that? And if it hurts you, we need to go down and transform that wound. I also like to talk about, it's like a tuning fork when you work on your healing path. When you work on maturity, as within, so without, as above, so below, right? When you work on that, you've got to be careful what radio station you keep dialing into. You have to have attunements in the frequency. You know what I mean? Because you're pinging out a signal into the universe. Some people call it into the vortex. Is vibratory, it's frequency, whatever sounds good and right and understandable to you. When you tune into that channel, when you're on that channel, you're going to find people that are also tuned into that channel. So the more that you can, ping, the more that you can tune your vibration, this is going to affect what type of deep-rooted relationships, what type of connections that you make with other humans. I mean, it doesn't mean we're going to be able to control them. Doesn't mean any of us are going to be perfect either. But at the root of the core of the frequency of the type of people that you are making energetic exchanges with, they affect where pleasure points come into your life. They affect why do you dress and wear one aesthetic if it doesn't make you happy? Why did I wait multiple decades to just get tattoos? Because I've had things that I had to heal in myself. It wasn't my true pleasure and joy and aesthetic and what I thought was beautiful. You can look at that in many different ways. Venus and Scorpio, it takes us back to a like more regressed part of ourself. Cycles that we've been put in since, again, we're really focusing on early years in life and trauma and our environment and the things. This is the root work. This is the shadow work. This is processing fear. This is processing trauma. This is processing conditioning that we've been built up that says, why do you think this is beautiful? Why do you think this represents pleasure? Why do you think this is how you were told you had to look, how you had to dress, how you had to experience joy, how you had to stifle joy, stifle pleasure? There's so many ways to dig into that. Bring them up, go down, dive deep, work around the scorpion and the stinger. Also I think of sometimes when I think of Scorpio season, I see like this big old dragon sitting in the bottom of the ocean. You're Pisces, you're probably flipping with dolphins and mermaids and iridescent beauty and the magic on the top of the water, and Cancer is a little, the Cancer, the crab may come down, he's up, he's on the shore, he's figuring out, does he want you to know his feelings or not, but really he's just a softie, and then boom, Scorpio, you're gonna go down. It makes me think of like a dark feminine goddess sitting on a throne. What I'm seeing is like shaped with a scorpion tail sitting right above her crown chakra with that stinger. Are you immune to the poison or not? How many times do you need to get ingested to understand what the lesson is within that? And Scorpio can be tough. And part of the death is the pain. And what I was just feeling was so much emotion. And just this message, with my own ancestors, my own spirit guides, my own archangels, and different things, different spirit animals, frequencies we work with at different times. And it's not all archangels and high, vibratory light, and we all have duality, and I do have Lilith's sigil tattooed on my hand for a reason, and profound shadow work experiences that I went through when I had to go down, and a lot of this was deep, deep, deep for me last year in many cycles. Because sometimes you have to drink the medicine that can almost kill you to build your immunity to it, right? But how many times, are you going to make yourself sick? But I was just feeling that a reminder from my own guides that just because we consciously descend doesn't mean it's not going to be very emotional. And just because you cut cords doesn't mean you can't mourn, was something that I was hearing. I was doing my own work in this way, and just feeling an overwhelming emotion of going down to do this deep work. And You know, it's not a thing. It's not a thing sometimes of just diving down one time, boop, it's done. No, especially not when it's rooted so deep and it has to do with releasing relationships that are very damaging and asking yourself why did I allow this? You know, why? And going through the pain and the mourning and then cutting some more and then realizing there's a tiny thing still hanging back there and having to cut it again. It's like a wound reopening, having to heal, and the pain is still fresh, and that was how it was feeling. And I just wanted to tell you that it's okay, as I had to tell myself. And I feel if I'm telling myself these things, you know, you probably are telling yourself these things too. Release the emotion. You know, we're humans. And I've talked about this too, in that, you know, we're walking around like these vessels, like you take a mason jar and you put some things in it and shake it up, and you got you're charging the water. Well, we're 50 to 70% water too. And what happens is, as we are purging, as we are banishing, and yes, sometimes it takes fucking multiple cycles. Okay, you think you loved and cared and sacrificed yourself, whether it was for your good or no, it was still for your highest and best evolution. Yes, it made you resilient and strong. You learned the lessons, but we're still human. It hurts. It's hard work. That's why a lot of people don't do it. Let's be real. Because then you establish an identity without all these attachments, and you realize, and maybe sometimes that has to do with fearing your own power, and maybe sometimes it's just hard. But that is a part of maturing. That is Saturn going direct in Aquarius with a square to Uranus and Taurus. All right, it is massive adjustments that have been going on while Saturn's in retrograde. And mind you, there's a lot of work being done around you too. Don't worry about that. You worry about you. Your ancestors and your guides will move in ways. Number one, you don't have any control over that. And number two, you will be divinely guided and protected. Because look, if you weren't of a higher frequency, would you even be caring about this work that you're doing? Would you be here watching the video right now? No, you wouldn't. Because you wouldn't care. So I know that because you do, you will be protected, you know, and rotten fruit takes care of itself, karma, all those good things. Don't worry about that. Okay. But right now it's a massive, point to, there's an old dying to the new. There's the unexpected things that come up, but we are being grounded and rooted because the maturity needs to come on all the way down, and we need to stand on both feet, on our 10 little toes, and we need to understand that we called in for this alignment. This is why we do what we do. We don't do it to collect gemstones. I love gemstones. We don't do it to have a bunch of collectibles. We do it so that we can shift our alignment. And I'll remind you that when we do this work on an individual level, it affects the collective whole. Please know that when you are crying in the bathtub, because you're so angry at yourself, because you want to talk to the person that hurt you, and you're like, this is so fucking stupid. You're human. And know that as you blood, sweat, and tear the maturing, deconditioning process out, you are learning, and you are divinely being guided, and you are banishing ancestral, generational inheritance of fear, so that you can build a new future. And if we don't all individually do that, we will not be able to collectively do it. It is very, very hard when you are doing it as a precursor, like a wave, the first wave, the second wave, you know, all these people who come and they stake their stick into the sand and they're like, well, I'm holding the frequency I'm on out here. I'm sweating his blood, sweat, and tears. I'm crying. I'm doing things that are so different from what everyone else is doing. That's because you're doing it in the initial waves. Okay, but how else do you show the way? Probably going to be doing that alone. Well, you're not alone because I'm here with you. So mind that. Then we move this energy up into having the new moon solar eclipse in Scorpio. And then we move into Venus being in conjunct with this new moon solar eclipse. It was a partial eclipse, but you know. It was connected to the south node of the moon. We call that the lunar south node. There's a lot of karma. There's a lot of past. There's a lot of letting go, release, a purging. So it's natural that this wave of the 25th is saying, hey, there's going to be some grief. There's going to be some, because remember, the flashlight's being shined in all the corners, and you can't just write something on a piece of paper and burn it and bury. You can't do that if you're not doing the emotional soul alchemy place where you got to dig the nasty stuff up out of the corners. Ain't gonna matter. Newsflash. Put it under 14 different candles that I could make and burn it that many times. But if you are not doing the work of facing the emotions that are rooted to drawing you back there every time you feel weak and tired and sad, and you don't want to process the grief and the emotions that hurt, it's gonna be real raw. It's going to probably be raw for a minute. And you know, the shadow side of Scorpio, and then of course we do have Venus in Scorpio, is there's jealousy, there's frustration, there's power struggles, there's why don't I trust people, what makes me feel vulnerable, why am I triggered, what would I just die across all angles to not have exposed to everyone. And Spirit's usually going to say, well, why don't you rip that band-aid off? And you're going to be like, no. And then you know that's where you have to go in to do the work. And that work, I'm telling you, you're going to look around at the most intimate relationships, the energy exchanges that you partner with. They shape your perspective. You are who you surround yourself with, who you talk to every day. Don't be putting yourself on step 4 when you're on step 20 and being surprised when you feel like you're coming back down and you're empathing other people's emotions. You know, you can't be on the path you're normally on, and you just don't be surprised by that, because you are who you surround yourself with. Okay? Energy contractual exchange. Again, if you're working on the path and you're growing, no judgment to anyone, not whatsoever, because we're all in different places in our life. But again, you can go on back a few different videos and watch and think about, you can't. I love you so much. I only tell you what I have had to tell myself. You cannot, 3 of Swords, okay? 3 of Swords growing into the Queen of Swords. All right, we can't fix their broken hearts for them, or else you're going to end up carrying their daggers in your heart. You've got to come back around, all right, to your Queen of Swords seat, to trust your unique intelligence, your vision, and your wisdom. I'm feeling like it's like this ain't my first rodeo. We'll stop acting like it. I guess the gods are just kind of had something to say today. Sometimes, you know what though? I love you. Sometimes you have to go through the 3 of Swords moments a couple times. And again, it's not just romantic relationships. It's people you thought were going to be your best friend. Family members that are massively so toxic, and it kills you because you're like... Spirit just keeps repeating over and over. You cannot work anyone else's karma for them. And again, you have to be careful, because your destiny may be to sit on that throne of wisdom and clarity and see above the mountains and speak out of a very intelligent, healing throat chakra. But if you keep trying to throw everyone on your plane, put everybody on your backpack and be like, oh, you know, and that's a little bit of ego. Let's be real about that. Gut check the ego there, because you can't do that and then do your own work and then evolve to a certain point where you're on a frequency where the universe is really ready to match you up with delivering in on that dream you've been manifesting, on that career, that opportunity, creative, spiritual, visionary product, relationship, project, whatever. Well, golly, we sure would like to go on ahead, and she's definitely like level 25 frequency. She's so eligible for that, but she can't even get off of 12 because of the weight that she carries by trying to work everyone's karma. I'll fix him. I'll save them again. And then you know what? You need to be careful because we'll get in a place where we begin, what was I going to say? Where we start blocking people from receiving the lessons that they need to evolve. Okay, please, please. I feel like I've sounded like a broken record, and it's not me per se, you know, it's just channeling. Please stop doing that. Okay? We are evolving to this point, and we have all the credentials when we look at it to be at a Queen of Swords level. Yes, you do. You absolutely do. We are not accepting. Okay, the Three of Swords is a very beautiful energy because it teaches you that you are resilient. You can read about something, and it has to do with Thoth, and Crowley and stuff is talking about having either the love of the dove or the love of the serpent, and there's a quote related to that, and knowing the difference sometimes. And I'm telling you, because you guys, I used to be, and still, and sometimes it's okay. We have the dove moments. They're beautiful. Sometimes they can change people's lives, but sometimes if you can't love like the serpent, guys, the serpent will eat the neck off the dove, and then you'll be the one that learns the lesson. Child. Anyways, I love you guys so much. I'm just being real with you, okay? On October 28th, though, I will say tomorrow, very early in the morning hours, I think that's on Eastern time, but we will have Jupiter come back into Pisces. We had Jupiter doing beautiful dancing with Pisces earlier in the year. Lovely blessings, lovely strength, lovely, lots of lovely things from that. Then Jupiter went retrograde. Now Jupiter has come back to retrograde and will go back into Pisces. I think Jupiter's been in what, Aries? So this is going to be good. Because what we want to do is we want to go back to the time when Jupiter was direct. We want to think of the clarity. It's kind of like this, okay? We got a lot of blessing and expansion. We made good choices. We were in a healthy place. And then things started hitting retrograde, you know, and then we were kind of sitting in the seat saying, hey, come on. You know, you made these choices. You know why. And now it's like, whoop, are you gonna let go of all that work you did, of that shift that you did? Renew yourself in your path, in your work, and why you believe what you believe. Go back to like a deeper connection, you know, with spirit, with your ancestors' guides. I would encourage you to do that a lot during this time, because we're going into the descent of the year as well. If you were marking it by the stars, the moon, the sun, and the stars, and not, you know, like pre-decided calendar dates, no offense to those, because y'all almost I'm gonna celebrate Halloween too, but because it's fun, that's all right. But technically, Samhain, you know, which is the end of the wheel of the year, you know, which is New Year, all these different things, you can give it all these different titles, right? But it would technically fall more on like November 7th or 8th. So we've got this gateway, this portal into the descent of what we would say is kind of the gateway, the gateway into death. Okay, so we need to be strong in our spiritual practices, whatever that looks like to you. You know, making offerings to your guides, spending time in your... I'm not going to, you know, go on through all those things because that's going to look very different. Excuse me, and it's 111. It's going to look very different for everybody. But Spirit is wanting to refresh and renew and spend time with us. Our ancestors want to be with us. Our higher guides. We have ancestors that are even in different star systems. Again, a whole different video. That's a different ancestral lineage, okay? You know, your light body, and if you resonate with that. Go back to these things for guidance. Remember in the beginning, in the spring of the year, February, March, April, May, when the mindset that you were in, and then I think we went through this place in June, July, August, through a lot of solar fire energy, the Lionsgate portal. We were working with the Sirius stars, a lot of different placements where our guides were kind of holding us in a refiner's fire. And it was like, hold, we need you to hold it, because a lot of fucking planets and energy are going to go into retrograde. You really going to have to sit neck deep in a lot of the reasons you made a lot of those beautiful, wise, evolutionary, self-expanding choices. Don't forget that, right? And then I'm just going to hit on Mercury is going to go into Scorpio on the 29th. Mercury is your mind. That's your mental. That's your visions. That's your your truth and your understanding. Okay, so Mercury then is going to come into Scorpio. And then we're going to have Mars go into retrograde in Gemini. That's going to be on October 30th. Okay. Mars is a very divine masculine, very active, very egoic, very, what are you doing every single day? What inspires your physical and your mental? What kind of structure do you have each day? We're going to hit a slowdown because we're going to be asked to kind of realign, reconsider, reevaluate. When you make choices, because Gemini, is an air sign, it's when you choose how each day is going to go, from the root of that, why are you making those choices? So we're going to have this massive shift in focus. We're going to think about desire. We're going to think about where our ego's at. And that's how we're going to be ending up October 30th. I love you guys so much. This is such a massive portal of time. This lunation going up to the full moon, making our way through this eclipse season is going to be a huge opportunity for depth. There's going to be a lot of big things that want to be completed. Please be mindful of your temper and your ego. Okay? If you want to do the work, your spirit guides, your ancestors, it's just like they're so palpable right now. Call on them, sit with your higher self. Do the clearing, cleansing, cord cutting work. Do the realignment work on your chakras. Work however this looks like with you. We've got so many things moving with our lunar nodes, with our south nodes, with our personal planets. We got 5 personal planets that are very, very tensely aspected. Jupiter in Aries, but we're going to see that shift. We're going to see Jupiter coming back to Pisces, but it's intense. It's intense. All right. And what we reverberate on and what we feel as the individual, mind you, that is reflective of the collective. So that rhymed. Face your shadow, do your shadow work. Be prepared to embrace change. Be very present in your body, be very grounded, be very checked in. And go out in nature. That's always a fail-safe. Go out in nature. Watch yourself, again, with the ego, with the temper, with things that you tend to sit and obsess and upset. Where's control? When you let something go, do you really let it go? Watch out, because on the shadow side, Scorpio got a lot of fear energy, a lot of, when I say black magic, I'm not talking about the duality of all magic is this and that. I'm talking about a very specific thing, and I'm not going to elaborate on it because I don't really like to debate, and I've experienced and studied a lot of different things across a lot of different paths. Sociopathic, psychopathic, narcissistic. There's a lot of control, power, struggle, manipulative, shadow energy in Scorpio. Okay, and a lot of the powers that be I'm just saying, we're not going to go off into a rabbit. Y'all got a sun and a moon and Aquarius, okay? We're not going to do that. But I'm just saying, stand in your power, go out in nature, return to your spiritual practice, be willing to do the work inside yourself. If you get confused, if you're hurting, if you're feeling pain and you don't understand, and some of these connections that you're releasing are really hard, go back inside yourself. Call on your ancestors, call on your guides, meditate. Watch what you obsess about. Watch what trips your ego and what triggers you. Watch out for what you really feel. Ooh, it bugs me when I can't control this, or this. You watch those things and you go in and you send yourself love and you work on, you journal, you work on cord cutting, disconnecting from those things, transmuting those things, okay? Man, 40 minutes. Ooh-wee. Because if you don't, those things going to run a control on you. And I'm going to tell you, in an eclipse portal, in a Scorpio season, Mars going into retrograde, you don't want to be racking checks on your ticket for new karmic lessons in this cycle. But, you know, I digress. We have the Ace of Wands. You know, Three of Swords, Queen of Swords, Ace of Wands. It really just feels like we've got to level up from these things that we allow to cause us pain and restrict our heart chakra. I've talked about this in other videos too. Your heart chakra is such a central flow conductor. From your crown, you've got your third eye down to your throat. Your heart chakra connects these higher. We're receiving, we're seeing in our intuition, what we speak out, what we're spelling into this dimension. And then you've got your heart chakra. That you know, the earth runs on a very magnetic grid. You are also very magnetic in your field. You've got to have an openness and a healthy, I'm hearing like a woo, woo. The pulse between you and the earth has got to be healthy. That's how you're going to stand 10 toes down and be grounded and connected. And then you've got, you know, the solar plexus. I am that I am. You've got your sacral and your root. That heart space is so important. And so, you know, we need to evolve into our Queen of Swords attitude. The Queen of Swords, she look, she ain't really taking no shit. Okay. The Queen of Swords has gotten to a point where she's been through enough cycles in this life. She's like, look, I see the damn truth already, okay? And I'm tired of playing with it. I trust my wisdom, okay? I am my own advisor. You know, I use my words wisely. It's not that I'm not emotional. In fact, the Queen of Swords can have a beautiful current that runs through, but with her being in her grounded, open-rooted heart space of her chakra, when it comes to her throat, her third eye, and her crown, she don't play about them. Okay? Protect that heart space. Strengthen it. Heal it. Just because we have powerful heart chakras that are blasted wide open, don't mean we have to be fools and doormats. Okay? That's what it's giving to me. Three of Swords between the Queen of Swords and the Ace of Wands. I feel like it's such a boon of a massive blessing. Our spirit and our ancestors want to say every seed of any possible potential, any inspiration, any light. You literally have so much of a powerful mind. Don't block it. You could literally manifest. Everything is connected. They want us to get this, but we've got to be able to to do the work again, because the Ace of Wands makes me think of how I was saying we ping out on a signal and a frequency when we come into attunement. We come into attunement, and then we're speaking on a certain level of frequency that dictates what is then coming back into our life. You gotta be willing to do the work for spirit to pass you. I like in this card how he's not fully holding the Ace of Wands. It's like spirit has let it go, but no one has yet to receive it. It's out there as a possibility because we have to come into alignment with it. We're not going to do that staying on a Three of Swords level of karmic pain and repetitive lessons over and over and over again. Would you give a book full of all the possible interconnectedness of all conscious and inspiration and illumination and manifestation to someone who wasn't a queen? The Queen of Swords again. We're not belittling her heart chakra. Y'all don't know nothing about her heart chakra is what I heard. And it's supposed to be like that, and it's fine. But we know about, she don't play about spelling, speaking, throat chakra. She don't play about her intuition. And her crown is powerful when it comes to be connected to her guides, her higher, her her monadic self, her oversoul, her higher self, the divine energy that runs through all things. Okay? Would you, if you were divine source, hand a wand to somebody who's what, like a page? No, you wouldn't. Because tell me how that's going to go. And I say that with love and light, I really do. I really do. And then we have the star. Hello. Aquarius card. Hello. We have the star. Because I think the spirit and the ancestors and the guides, they kind of wanted to come through off that throat chakra today. And that's all right, because that's some Scorpio energy. Look, let's not play. Let's really talk about it if you want to be about it, okay? That's the energy of a Scorpio in a certain way. If you expect miracles, if you want to come up to a powerful soul purpose, if that's how you're trying to walk, if you know who you are, we cannot keep repeating karmic, toxic cycles and lessons and being rewounded and rewounded and rewounded, where we just live in a place of despair because we don't even remember what hope feels like. No. But I feel like our guides and our ancestors and our higher self want us to know that if you want to do that work, there is so much serendipity for you. There is so much brightness. In fact, you are, that's the core of what you are, is that level of light. Yes, we have to know darkness to understand light. Yes, there is duality. I understand that. I'm not belittling that. But ultimately, what is limiting you from going back in? Remember, we consciously choose to descend. What does the hermit do when he's walking in the dark? He holds his lamp. The star is a huge reminder to get your head out of the past, too. It's a very think about the future. What inspires you about the future? Let's ascend towards the future. Think about the alignment of what the collective planetary energy is doing. Look up at the stars. And I just had, that's like almost for close to an hour, I've had just a million things to say, and that was pretty much it. That was pretty much it, I think. I appreciate you guys for spending time with me. I was just very heavily pressed on my spirit to share after being in nature this morning and just processing like a lot of stuff that was very emotional. Want to reach out, remind you you're not alone. And take advantage of this portal. It's a very powerful energy to, again, consciously descend into yourself. You are resilient. You have unique wisdom, your own intelligence. Y'all, look at my fingernails. This is from being outside too. And your ancestors, your higher self, and your guides have all infinite matter of possibility for you if you want to come into alignment with it. So that is what I have this Thursday morning. I hope you make the best of this eclipse portal. And I look forward to talking to you guys soon.